Hello everyone and welcome to another video. It's the end of August and it's, well, technically the second half of the season coming up now. I'm down here at Three Sisters Kart Circuit in Wigan and first impressions, because I've never been here before. It's a really nice looking track. There's not many braking points, to be honest with you, so it's going to be one of those sort of interesting races. Initially, we had an issue at the start where, once again, there's just no head cams allowed. So I went online and I bought a really cheap sort of body cam that sort of sits quite high up on my body. So the footage is either going to look okay today or it's going to really suck. I'm not sure which, but just bear with it, I suppose, for this the video. And we'll be back on the head cams hopefully soon. Once again, I have no idea why a body cam is safer than a head cam. I think, if anything, they're the sort of same thing. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it today. It's the second half of the season now. I've tried to take a bit of time off karting, especially competitively, and just relax. You don't have to kart every week of your life, I suppose. It's big heats today. There's 22 karts in each heat. So I'm going to start one quite far forward, one in the middle of the pack, and then unfortunately I'm going to be starting right at the back for another one. Championship-wise in SRK, it's still hindering me a little bit that I didn't have a great start to the season, and a few better results and a nice A final last time out in Thruxton has helped me out, but I need to probably have another good result today if I want to start sort of condensing my presence, at least in the sort of upper middle table of the pro category. Weather-wise, it's looking amazing. There's just clear skies everywhere apart from in the distance, but at least over the track is nice and sky blue, and the floodlights will come on later towards probably the finals of the race. So yeah, no threat of rain, so it's going to be really close racing, I can already tell. So let's go. So yeah, we're starting with Wigan. Lots to look forward to. Let's head out on track and let's see how it goes tonight.
So here we go. I tried to position the body camera as far up my chest as possible, but I don't think it worked that well. I'm actually quite surprised at how low in the car I sit, and I always thought I sit a lot higher up than I actually do. So a short outlap on the way to the grid, and I was starting 9th for my first heat, and it was my middle heat. The race got underway and I had a pretty good start off the line, I would say, and I managed to maintain my position. The aim was just to try and settle in before looking at how the race is going to play out. I made up some early positions by taking advantage of some drivers who were just off the racing line. The track was mostly straight lines, which I already knew was going to cause some chaotic racing, and there was no way to sort of skillfully drive away from another driver, as most of the time you were just pushing the throttle to the floor and deciding whether to attack or defend on a straight. It was one of those weird times where you never had the chance to just focus ahead, and there was always someone trying to draft past you on a straight line, often pushing you off the racing line doing that. After the first few laps, I made my way up to 6th position, where as we were heading down the final straight, I get used as a brake and force sideways caused me to drop from 6th all the way down to 20th. And yeah, it was just super disappointing. I lost all my momentum from the incident and had to begin building it back up. I would say that I was a little frustrated with this. I didn't really let it affect me too much, as there was so much potential still to go, and I went back on my way to chase the crowd. I would say it was more of an angry drive up the field, as I was certainly not sticking around to say hello to anybody, and I was just happy to make up the positions that I did. I eventually finished the race in 16th place, and it was just a case of just focusing on the next 2 heats, really. I think I was just gutted about this camera angle more than anything else as well.
something quite rare with these rental karting races is we're not used to having like so many exotic supercars just sort of sitting by the side of the track whilst the races are going on. But look at that, there's loads here. We've got Lamborghinis, we've got Aston Martins, classic Supras, everything. I don't really care about cars, to be honest with you, but I know some people will enjoy it. But yeah, Heat 1, that kind of sucked, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think somebody just like went over the curb and pushed somebody into me, and I was on the outside. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. Honestly, the type of racing we're getting at the moment is just like flat out down the straights. It's not the type of track that really suits rental karts. Like definitely owner driving is probably like a lot better around here. But I had absolutely no luck in that race, and unfortunately I got a bit screwed. So yeah, it's just one of those things. We've got 2 weeks to go though, so we'll just stay positive. You know, I can't get too mad at anything right now. So let's just get straight back into Heat 2. I'll try to improve the camera angle because I know it sucked. But yeah, what you get is what you get, unfortunately, because headcam's not allowed, which again, really stupid, but oh, it is what it is. Let's go, Heat 2.
So here's my front heat. For this one I was starting in 4th place, and the aim really was just to stay as high as possible in the order and help close that points deficit that I was suffering from with the result of Heat 1. It took ages to assemble these grids as we were all sent out one by one, but at least we only used half the track, I suppose, to get there. For the start of the heat, I was on the outside, which can be a good or bad thing based on how well your car decides to pull off the line. So here we go for the race. You were waiting for a marshal to wave a green flag at the side of the track, which, to be honest with you, was not that great, because if you were at the back of the grid, you really could not see it. But nonetheless, we were away, and I managed to move up to 3rd position off the first few corners. And now, as I said, the aim was just to calm down and get through the first phase of the race. I lost a couple of positions, but nothing too major, and once again, sitting in 5th position was a real positive right now. You had to make a choice every time on a straight, whether you wanted to hug the inner line and lose about half a second to the kart in front at the next corner, or open up the racing line and hope that you did not get dive bombed. There were a few rocket karts on track, and these ones were absolutely impossible to defend on the straights as they were just so long. Once again, this is where I think the owner karting is a lot more suited to these massive tracks, as it doesn't promote skillful driving. You'll notice that it was getting slightly darker and the track temperatures were dropping. I think full-on rain would have been a great way to introduce a skill gap to this particular event, and it really would have made it a bit more competitive in a different way. Come to think of it, we've had no wet races in Rapid Kart or SRK all season, and that is a bit annoying because we all want to see a bit of rain from time to time. That would definitely be my biggest disappointment, I would say, with this season. It's just the lack of rain events, but I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, is there? Anyway, rambling over, and I finish in 7th position. This time, only losing a few positions on the road, and it will have to just do for now. One big heat to go. I didn't really record much outside of the car at this point because it was just getting darker and darker, and especially off the track where there was really not many places where there was good lighting. You'll notice it getting really dark as this race goes on. In this heat I'm starting in 18th position, and once again starting on the outside of the grid and just hoping just to get a good initial launch off the line. Now this is where it was getting harder to see the marshal with the flag at the front. A good initial launch allows me to keep position on track, and to be honest with you, there wasn't a lot that went on this race. I ended up finishing 16th position, making only 2 positions on the road, and I think that with the light drawing, this was where it definitely was the most challenging aspect to correctly marshal the event. Most things picked up were by the SRK team, I would say, but it was just too dark to see many things that went on. My opinion is that we shouldn't really do races in the dark. We should stick to the daytime, because I just felt it was just getting a bit crazy out there, and it was really hard for marshals to actually, properly apply penalties. So there were not many penalties at all being applied, and yeah, I think some people were just getting away with things, unfortunately. I do enjoy night racing, however. It's just in more of sort of a long endurance style where the whole field is super spread out and mostly working on different stints. For this short 8-lap style sink or swim sprint races, I feel like I've just made things harder for the drivers and race officials alike. This leads me on to the final, and I mean, look how dark it had become. Unfortunately, tonight's antics meant I was starting in the C final. There was only one positive to that, and that was I was starting first in the C final. As we head out onto the track, it wasn't great, and to be honest with you, all I wanted more than anything in that moment was for just the heavens to open and for it to start absolutely pouring with rain. But as we lined up on the grids, all we had to do was try and win this race, and that was going to be hard simply because of how hard it was to pull away from the pack. And also Kart 2, which was the one I was driving, was definitely not a great car, as it was mostly finishing bottom during the heats. In fact, the only reason I have this average car right now for a first place final was because it came off in the last heat as another driver DNF'd, meaning it went straight to the front of the pile. Anyways, off we went for our final race, and all I needed to do was hope for either A, a monsoon on track, or B, every single other car to break down. As you can imagine, neither of these things happened. And as we drive down the long straight, you will notice a car stick their nose on the outside of me, which I already knew that was the warning sign that this was going to be a tough final to try and survive, because the car was just not great. After a few laps, I was heading down another long straight and I was overtaken on the outside, which eventually became the inside, and I was down to second place. The next phase of the race was pretty uneventful, and I was driving into the darkness. Eventually an absolute rocket cart caught up with me, which originally started 11th on the grid, and there was not a lot I could do to stop it without driving too crazy on track. Eventually I finished the C final third, and it was just a disappointing result. I didn't feel too down about it, and I just felt I was getting some good momentum together in the last 3 rounds of SRK, so it was just annoying to have this sort of small setback. However, I'm pretty committed to, treating this as a bit of a one-off and getting back out there hopefully and getting a better result in the next event. So that brings this round to a close, and did I enjoy it? I'm not too sure really. From an SRK perspective, I think that I want to say thank you for them hosting the event and getting us all up there for a night of racing. With the more regular races of SRK, I felt a real sense of community as most of us travelled up together. We spent a lot of time pre-race socialising together, and I think that's a great positive for the series. It's a really beautiful element of karting at this level, is just making friends. However, what I would say is it's not really a track that suits rental karting Three Sisters, especially at this level of rental karting. And if we have to do it again, however, I'm not going to say no. I certainly feel there's unfinished business with the track, but I wouldn't be too sad to not see it on the calendar next season, to be honest with you. Championship wise, unless I have a mega last 3 rounds, it's looking all but over for me, as now my attention turns to just trying to help the team score as many points as possible. You can see once again we've dug ourselves a bit of a gulf down there in BSRB. I'd like to think we can get some positive results in the last 3 rounds and try and turn everything round. But that's it from Three Sisters. Thank you very much for watching. I have a lot more exciting and fun events coming up on the channel, which I cannot wait to share with you over the rest of this year. Don't forget to leave a like and drop a comment telling me if you liked or hated the video. But yeah, that's it. Thank you ever so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time.